Welcome to episode 7 of The Final Whistle, the official Surrey FA podcast. In today's episode, we will be talking about futsal. Futsal is a small sided version played on a hard court and mainly indoors. It has similarities to five-a-side and indoor football. To gain good insight into futsal, we are joined by Louis Melville, an FA mentor and futsal coach. Louis has been involved in futsal for more than 18 years. We will talk about Louis' journey, what the benefits of futsal are, and why coaches should be more involved in this format of the game. This episode will also consist of the Talk Footy and Surrey Summarize section, where we will talk about all the results from the last two weekends and the latest news circulating in Surrey. So, Louis, could you start off by telling us how you first got involved with football and how you got into futsal?
Well, firstly, Athrea, thanks for having me on your podcast. Always an honour and a privilege to talk about futsal. I first started off, I would say it was around about 2004 when a friend of mine, Dermot Collins, who I played football with but was working at the FA at the time, and he was starting up a futsal competition, and he asked me what I knew about futsal, and I said very, very little. So he said, well, why don't you come and get involved? And that kind of started the journey. So I went along to watch the game, and it was the first time I'd really seen it live. And the game was just so fast. The players were technically so good. And I just literally got hooked straight away. And that's where my journey started, from then starting to coach a team, or I'd certainly put that in inverted commas, coach. I was probably just pulling people on and off the pitch in terms of substitutions and stuff like that, not really with much knowledge, and then got involved to actually start coaching a team, and once managed to get to a FA Futsal Cup final back in 2007, and it's just carried on from there, working in a community scheme, being able to be involved in the England under-19s in the previous regime, and achieving my UEFA B qualification as well. So it's been quite a long journey. But I think right now it's an exciting time to be involved in futsal.
Yeah, that's honestly great to hear. And in your experience, like, what do you think makes futsal different from, mainstream 11-a-side football?
I think for me, there are the two aspects for it. Firstly, the players, it's a different experience for them, because if you ask me what does a futsal identity look like, I would definitely put my coach on head on here and say the things that identify futsal are, firstly, the goals. We use hockey style goals, unlike when you go to normal football at five-a-side. There's these huge letterbox goals, which I think we're probably one of the few countries where I've ever seen them. The ball makes a massive impact on the game, where it's a low bounce ball, size 4. Obviously, with younger age groups, we can use size 3 and size 2. Playing on a hard surface, which speeds the game up to 5 or 6 times quicker than on grass and Mastro. We play to a court, so we're playing to lines, not off the walls. For those that have played in power league or goals where you've got the boards there, it tends to be sometimes we're going to push someone into the board, so prison rules. And then the thing that really defines us is the laws of the game. We have a very defined set of laws of the game, which, whether you play in England or Brazil, Spain, or in Australia, the laws apply. So you can go, whereas I'm sure you've played in five-a-side games where you couldn't go in the area, there was no overhead height, the goalkeeper couldn't come out, and limits on substitutions as well. So I think those are the constraints of the game that identify it, and it's just such a fast game, and the demands of the players in their decision making, because we're playing on a court around 40 by 20, but very often in sports halls we're working in netball size courts, which are 30 by 15 and a half. So the space constraints are even more.
Yeah, honestly, like, I've played futsal and outdoor 8-a-side and 11-a-side in university, and honestly, I can see a huge difference when I play futsal and when I play outdoor. From a coach's perspective, do you also see the same thing happening with players, and do you, actively advise and recommend footballers to play futsal as well?
Well, I think, when we talk about developing the game, I think you've got to look at it. There's two strands, if you like. With I've mentioned before, I've been involved for 18, 19 years. So I'm really aware of what the futsal community looks like, where a lot of it is, and where it's established. But if we're going to grow the game and we want more people in, then clearly football is a natural audience for us to attract players in and get them to start playing. So um, one of the great things is I think that and especially when depending on what age you're playing at. So for example, I'm involved in the university. The players get to do both. They can play football for the university on a Wednesday, and then on Saturday or Sunday, depending on if they're a female or male player, they can play in university futsal as well. So they get an opportunity to play both football and futsal. And I think those opportunities are opening up for younger players as well now, where I'm seeing lots of coaches that are running specific futsal programs alongside their football programs, and to give players that opportunity. And if I was to try and sell futsal to the football world and why you should get on, if you're a team that plays primarily on grass during the season, probably in the last 2 or 3 months you've lost a lot of football. But I'm dealing with coaches who are playing futsal every week, if not every other week, during these rainy periods or when the pitches are too hard to play on. So, like for me, it's quite a no-brainer in terms of why you'd want to play, because there's no reason why a game would be called off because we're indoors.
Yeah, of course. And moving on to like the youth categories, do you feel like schools and grassroots football clubs should perhaps give more importance to futsal than they're already giving, like in the scope of developing players, technically?
Yeah, like, I think my view is whenever I've spoken to coaches within the football world and they've been curious about the game and they want to know more, um, I always come from a futsal perspective. Well, this is the game. These are the challenges that you will get in the game in terms of decision making for players, opportunities to dribble, to pass, particularly for goalkeepers as well, who are much more involved in futsal than they are. I mean, regularly in a futsal game, a 40-minute game, you could have up to 100 shots in a game. So the goalkeepers are much more involved. So I think from that perspective, getting players involved in the game is really important, and it's then up for coaches and also the players to decide when they go back into their own environments how they want to use the game. But I think it's important that they see futsal in its sort of pure format, if you like, and then it's up to coaches to decide what they want to take for themselves, if they're going into a different environment, or whether they want to actually pursue futsal as a game within their club and have a specific futsal strand. And I do think one of the other things now we've got that's going to really help to do that is with the return of the England national teams, and not just the under-19s, but we will see female teams as well, which I think is hugely important. Those pathways now for the players, if I'm a 10, 11-year-old, even if I'm maybe not going to be a professional footballer, I can still dream of playing for England, and futsal players are going to have that opportunity now. So those players who think, well, I'd like to do a bit more futsal, or why should I? Well, there will be pathways for players to develop into playing at a higher level if they wish, or hopefully to play in good standard recreational leagues.
Yeah, so certainly I agree with everything you just mentioned there. Just moving on to the coaches. Now you've coached for a long time in futsal. What would you say is the unique selling point for coaches to get involved in futsal more than just 11 aside?
I think the challenge, the biggest challenge I find is on my resources in a game. So if I'm coaching or in a session or coaching in the game, because it's so quick, there's a lot of responsibility on me to give the players the responsibility in their understanding of the game, and to really throw a lot of them in terms of how they take responsibility for their actions and decisions. Because by the time I see it and say it, if I did want to say it, it's gone. So because the game is so quick, I've mentioned that the ball can travel 6-7 times faster on a futsal court. So I think also the amount of decisions you have to make as a coach, in terms of substitutions, timeouts. So we have timeouts in the game. We have a foul law. So in each half, in a full 20-minute game, a team's only permitted 5 fouls per game. So that has an influence in how teams will defend or attack. So there are so many variations and variants within the game that will influence it. The clock's important. So I'll give you an example. We had a game at the weekend. We were leading 5-4 with 45 seconds to go, and we had to really manage that clock and how we defended. And we were already on 5 fouls, so we couldn't afford to give any more fouls away. So defensively, we had to be really smart. So those are all factors in the game. And within the game, most players can only play 3 or 4 minutes really at their top intensity before they start to drop off. So we have to make lots and lots of substitutions in the game. I think I made something like 45 substitutions on Saturday in the game. So I think there were just so many challenges within the game, micro challenges, that I just think it breeds better all-round coaches to have those constraints and those of the game to be put on you as a person making those decisions within the game, and also when you're coaching, trying to improve your own observations. And I would probably say, if you was to ask me what was the main benefit of me as a coach, I said my observations now within the game. And when I do go into other sports, my observation skills are much more heightened because of that, and I'm able to ask questions that I probably 5-10 years ago I probably would have been able to ask.
Yeah, hopefully, all our listeners out there, and like all the coaches tuning in, they can take some stuff from what you have said, and hopefully they can get involved in futsal as well. So it's really good to hear. Now you mentioned that you're obviously a coach and a mentor, and you've been involved with futsal for like 18 or 19 years. Personally, like, what does the future hold for you in football and futsal? Like, where do you see yourself in the next, 5 or 10 years?
Well, I think my role, I really sort of see my role as trying to develop the game. I've been really fortunate. I've had some brilliant mentors. I think literally every England futsal manager up to previously, I've been able to count them as a mentor. I've had a brilliant support network with my fellow coach mentors, and one of the things that I've really picked up on is every session I've gone to where I've gone to be a mentor, I've learned something from that coach. So I do feel like I've got a responsibility to give something back to the game, because we're at a point now where, with the inception of this new agreement between the FA and England Futsal, that we've got an opportunity here to really establish the game with a fantastic platform, playing opportunities for both male and female. So I really sort of see my role as continuing to coach and improve my own knowledge, because I've still got lots to learn, but to try and help other coaches, other organisations, and all the mistakes I've probably made over the last 19 years, to try and help other people not make those mistakes. So I think part of that is going to be giving back, but also trying to improve my own knowledge and help other coaches and help other organisations be better. Because if we can have better coaches, we get better players. We have better players, the game will improve, and we can really establish futsal as a hopefully as a more mainstream pathway for players to consider, and also coaches and also referees and people who come and want if you come and watch a futsal game, it's just so exciting.
Yeah, certainly, it is really insightful, all the information you've given us. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's really been a pleasure talking to you.
But thank you, and thanks for having this opportunity. I appreciate it.
It's now time for Talk Footy, and I'm here with James to discuss the results of matches that took place in these last 2 weeks.
Hi, Threya. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing how the team's got on in recent weeks.
Right, so let's get into it. So to start things off, in the Women's Flexi League North, Caterham Pumas lost to Hersham Mojitos by 5-3, and Met Police beat East Sheen by 3-0.
Yeah, even though Caterham Pumas came out with a defeat there, they are still top of the table. However, Waltham and Hersham ladies still have a game in hand and are in second place, so therefore have a chance to leapfrog Caterham to the top of the table in coming weeks.
Yeah, and in the Women's Flexi League South, Kingswood Blue lost 1-0 to Bone Blades Whites, and the following week, Kingswood Blue beat Reigate Women Lionesses by 9 goals to 1. So it's a huge away victory for them.
Yeah, a strong bounce back there from Kingswood Blue, and that puts them top of the table on goal difference. But all the top 5 teams are level on 6 points, so the next set of fixtures will be really crucial to see how the league will take shape.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting indeed. And moving on now to the men's results in the Surrey Enhanced Border Football League. In Division 1, Someone's House's first team lost 5-1 to Woking and Weybridge. Luca Mortellaro scored a brace, and it helped them clinch that impressive away victory. Wanderers' first team, however, beat Virginia Water by 4 goals to 1, and Pickham North End also beat Corinthian Guildford by 7 goals to 1. Stuart Bailey scored a whopping 5 goals in this game,
Wow.
so it was a really exciting affair there. And moving on to the games that were played the next week on the 5th of February, JB Rangers beat Woking and Weybridge by 3 goals to 1. Robert Dave Sheridan's first half brace gave them a good start in that game. And Woking and Maybury beat Virginia Water by 5 goals to 3. So yeah, some good games there.
Yeah, JB Rangers are looking good at the top of the table. They're currently 4 points clear with a game in hand.
Yeah, and moving on to Division 2, Woodham Victoria beat Byfleet Town Reserves by 3 goals to 2. Milford Green beat Bisley All Stars by 4 goals to 2. A brace by Stephen Bullymore and Chris Carpenter were the main highlights of that 6-goal thriller. And finally, Virginia Water Athletic beat Stourton's first team by 2 goals to 1.
Yeah, good set of fixtures there. The games played the following weekend on the 5th of Feb. Were in the Cup, so we didn't have any league action that weekend. However, overall, Woodham Victoria top of the table, and they still have 2 games in hand.
Yeah, and moving on to the Surrey County Intermediate League Western in the Premier Division, Cranley's first team beat Shottermill and Hazelmere by 3 goals to 2. Arthur Fuller came off the bench and scored a brace to help them get that victory, and Merrow's first team beat Hambledon's first team by 2 goals to 1. Moving on to the games that were played on the 4th of February, Queen's Park Rangers beat Cranley by 1 goal to 0, and it was a 0-0 draw between Worpleson's Phoenix's first team and Manacroft United. So yeah, some tight games there.
Yeah, that leaves Cranley top of the table with 19 points. Queen's Park Rangers are currently sat in second though, so Cranley will have to watch out for them coming up behind. And Merrow's first team, unfortunately, are still sat at the bottom of the table. However, after picking up that victory last weekend, hopefully they can, kick on and climb up the table.
Yeah, and moving on to the Surrey Premier County Football League in the Premier Division, AFC Walcountians beat Ripley Village by 5 goals to 1. Albert Davies' brace contributed to that huge away victory, and Worcester Park also beat AFC Royal Holloway by 3 goals to 0. And moving on to the games that were played on the 4th of February, Battersea Ironsides beat AFC Walcountians by 3 goals to 2. Hosley's first team lost 3-2 to Hersham's first team, and Worcester Park picked up a good 4-0 victory against Farley Rovers. Joseph Blendell and Lee Wilson scored a brace in that game, so yeah, good 4-0 victory to them.
Yeah, a lot of goals going on in the Surrey Premier County League, and after all them, AFC Kubo and Staines and Llamas are currently first and second respectively, and Farley Rovers are still struggling at the bottom.
Yeah, and that rounds off Talk Footy. It's now time for Surrey Summarise, keeping you up to date with all current activities and campaigns across Surrey FA. As always, we have plenty to update you on this week. First of all, we are pleased to announce that Clive Biggins is our new Women and Girls Community Champion and will be supporting new female coaches this season.
Yeah, this is great news. Clive will be working directly with clubs who are looking to increase their numbers of female coaches. The personalised support he'll offer will begin with a Stepping Over the Sidelines workshop, and this will be followed by one-to-one mentoring to support coaches as they start their journey. So Clive's role is a real good example of Surrey FA's commitment to growing the female game in Surrey and having on-the-ground representatives to support and increase the opportunities available.
Yeah, and our next update is that this International Women's Day, we're delighted to be hosting our second annual networking and education event called Unite and Celebrate. Now, the theme of this year's event is around belonging and togetherness and will consist of a keynote speaker as well as Q&A panels formed of special guests. We will hear from women who are paving the way for others in all aspects of the game, as well as male allies who have supported women to belong and thrive within football.
Yeah, whatever your role is, we would love for you to join us for this evening of learning, inspiration, and overall positivity as we celebrate the huge success of women's football in Surrey. So this is due to take place at Surrey Sports Park in Guildford from 6 to 9 p.m. on Wednesday the 8th of March, and is free to attend. So to confirm your place, please sign up by visiting our website.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great event indeed, so we hope to see you there. Moving on, the quarterfinal draw for the Specsavers Surrey Senior Cup took place on Saturday, 28th of January. The draw comprised of 13 teams, as 5 second round games are still to be played due to the recent freezing temperatures. So, yeah.
Indeed, the standout fixtures see the winners of Met Police or Woking host League Two side Sutton United, whilst Virginia Water will travel to either Collier Woods or Balham after Balham knocked out holders Dorking Wanderers in the first round. These ties are due to be played in February and March.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in these games. Our last piece of news this week is that we invite you to join us in uniting refugees and the local community through football. Now, in September 2022, Surrey FA launched the Unite Through Football Refugees Project, offering safe and welcoming environments for refugees and displaced individuals to access football provisions. The football project aims to embed refugees into the football and Surrey community, whilst educating clubs about becoming a refugee-friendly space.
Yeah, the Refugee League has been a great success so far, and we've seen up to 160 refugees taking part in the monthly fixtures. So with a competitive and fun environment all set up now, we are seeking organisations, charities or other providers that wish to become part of the project. And this will be through weekly informal sessions around Surrey, with the aim of offering regular, safe and welcoming football opportunities for refugees and asylum seekers.
And if you are interested in exploring this further, the details and the sign-up form can be found on our website. For more information on this, you can contact Rob Bryant, our Senior Football Development Officer, at rob.bryant@surreyfa.com. And yeah, that rounds off Surrey Summarize for this week. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Final Whistle podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to Louis talk about futsal and why players as well as coaches should get more involved with this format of the game. Hopefully each one of you took something away from this episode. And do tune in for our next episode that will be out in a couple of weeks. And until then, it's a goodbye from everyone at Surrey FA.